Hello and welcome back to another housing video for Final Fantasy XIV patch 6.3 with me, Meoni. They've added quite a lot in 6.3 in terms of housing. One of the items, though, again, related to submersible voyages, much like the previous video we did today, was quite hard to obtain, so I waited a little bit for things to become cheap, and my own submersible voyages were pretty weak. I didn't really get anything back from them, so we went to the market board. So basically, we're looking at the enigmatic gear. That's the first ingredient, which can be acquired from Tidewind Isle, which is a submersible voyage. So just to let you know. And once you get the enigmatic gear, you can then make the Enigma Chronometer, which says a chronometer devised by the Illuminati, particularly abundant with whirlycogs. So specifically, this gear is from the bottom of the sea, and it says, at first glance, a stray part from some ship. This gear seems equipped with complicated infrastructure. So maybe it's a magical gear or something. I don't know. It's a bit ominous, isn't it, finding a gear at the bottom of the sea. The actual recipe is a level 90 smithing recipe. Nothing too crazy about this. No masterwork involved. Basic recommended craftsmanship. And this is what it looks like. Let's have a look at it. So it says, a chronometer devised by the Illuminati. So I've got goblins on the brain now. I'm trying to imagine the implications. So this thing is quite small, right? That's the first thing to take into consideration, is it might be really well detailed, but it is quite a small item. So when it comes to 400 slots in a large property, this is probably not going to be used in my large. We'll probably use this in personal housing or apartments or something. Let's lower this down a little bit. The quality on this thing, though, holy moly. That is absolutely nuts, isn't it? And we've got Roman numerals. We've got 12 there, obviously 1, 2, 3, etc. So, yeah, you can actually properly tell the time. It still blows me away to this day that the actual time displayed on chronometers in housing, and some other places in the world as well, do tell the actual real time in Eorzea. So the Eorzean time at the top here, top right, 7:38, it is actually recording that, if that makes sense. See, look. That's literally where we're at. We're at 7:42 at the moment, so it's going to go all the way up and then be 8 o'clock at the same time. Isn't that crazy? I suppose lots of people take that for granted, and quite rightfully so. Oh, it's not crazy, Meoni. It's just a clock. It's fairly basic. Yeah, it probably is. You know, but it still fascinates me that this is an accurate clock. I do like that. I don't know why. But also, Eorzea time, you start to realize how much quicker that moves than our own seconds. And it makes you feel very conscious about how many times, how many minutes of a day you're wasting, honestly. It's a really nice item, though, isn't it? And a great thing to find from the depths of the ocean. And the dyeability on this thing is pretty good as well, if I remember correctly from a couple of previews I saw. So immediately we have some like pitted metal colors. Let's start from where it began. That's undyed. Then we have so Snow White turns it into like this silver, which personally I really like, by the way, having the silver cogs. It looks like we've brushed off the rust, you know, and restored it perhaps. Like the brighter colors are definitely going to bring out those cogs. And I imagine like stuff like bronze would as well. We could have black, which is awesome. One thing I would love to see, though, is a chronometer that has this beautiful typesetting and hands, but have them lit up in neon, so that when we have darker spaces in our house, that we can tell the time in Eorzean in first-person mode without the UI on, by just simply looking at it without squinting too hard in the darkness. But yeah, maybe that's a thing they could do for another clock. Yeah, but definitely brighter colors are going to be key here to getting the most out of this, right? Because it's obviously going to have that metallic reflection of different colors you go for. Yeah, I really like the brighter colors. It reminds me of like bronze and brass, and yellow is going to look really good, actually, isn't it? Like bronze or gold gears. Look at that. That looks really nice. That's the color like variants I would go for. Probably a yellow, like probably honey yellow or a desert. Maybe bone white, actually. There's too many good options. My only concern, like I say, is the size of the item. So I'd probably use this in like an apartment space or a room or something. And not necessarily in the free company where we are severely limited for slots. Pure white essentially has the same, let's see, it's slightly different, like a slightly different shade. So it goes from Snow White being that kind of silver, then more silver, I guess. Of course, you can't actually use metallic dyes on housing items, which is something I hope in the future they address, because there are so many items that would benefit from just plop in a metallic version of a dye on, but you can't do that. So maybe that's something they can add for the future. But until then, at least we have texture reflection like this that works quite well. Very cool stuff. It is a clock at the end of the day, but such a nice reward to get from a submersible if you have blacksmithing unlocked. So hopefully people have been making some decent gil with this, because it's a very pretty item. But yeah, more clocks, more chronometers, please, Square Enix. I do like them. All right, much love. Enjoy the rest of your day, and more videos on the way. Bye-bye.